Hello, book lovers, and welcome to Book Talk Radio Club. My name is Claire Perkins, and today I'm talking to Christopher Felton. Christopher is the author of Remember Yourself, A Healing Journey Through Your Universe, and The Fervent Exchange. His books and articles are embraced by readers of varied backgrounds. His articles have been broadcast by a prison administrator as inspirational. Remember Yourself was reviewed by a clinical therapist as working great for her patients, and a celebrity figure sent him a letter of commendation and admiration for his exceptional writing and thinking skills. Hi, Christopher. First of all, welcome and thank you for coming on Book Talk Radio Club.
Hello, Claire. Thank you very much for having me.
My pleasure. So let's start with your most recently published book, The Fervent Exchange. This is for anyone who is open to some of the questions one may have regarding the origin and history of one's own religious beliefs, with informed and researched answers. So, would you like to tell Book Talk Radio Club's listeners a bit about the story, Christopher?
Sure, absolutely. Well, the Fervent Exchange is about three passengers. They're all seated together on a plane flight to Delhi, India. And two of the passengers, Dr. Ufa and Gina Stroid, are traveling together while Amina is traveling alone. And during their hours-long flight, they all end up engaging in a conversation about God, about religion in general, and then specifically about Christianity.
Right, okay. And the characters, Amina, Dr. Ufa, and his assistant, Gina Stroid, flesh out their personalities a bit for me, please.
All right. Well, Dr. Ufa, he's a gentleman that has a doctorate of theology. He's the head professor of religious studies at the seminary called Tubbs Hill Christian Seminary. He was also once requested by the President of the United States to lead the Faith Initiative at the White House, and he mentors several celebrity religious figures. Now, Gina Stroid, she's Dr. Ufa's lead researcher, and she's also known for being a highly requested speaker and Christian debater. And then we have Amina, which is an unassuming blogger. Her topics center on humanism and the ills of religion. Like I said, she's more unassuming, quite in her demeanor. She prides herself on being a foodie, and she's a really good cook. What Dr. Uf and Gina don't realize, though, is that Amina is agnostic, and she's quite well-versed in various religions. Something else I wanted to note to you, Claire, is that there's a total of about 7 names and words in this story with cryptic meanings, and deciphering those meanings is what unlocks a deeper understanding of how they relate to the story. That's just part and parcel to my writing style. I even not too long ago ran a contest for those. Anyone that would decipher the 7 words and names, then they would get a $100 Visa gift card. So I would be more than glad to offer that to your readers, or whatever other form will be appropriate that you would allow. But it's quite interesting. Like I said, there's 7 names and words. 3 of them are anagrams, 3 are translations, and 1 is just in ancient meaning. So I think it's quite interesting.
Yeah, it is. That's a really clever idea. I rather like that. One of your Amazon reviews says, and I quote, excuse me, the most thought-provoking exchange about the existence of God I have ever read. If you are a theist, agnostic, deist, atheist, etc., I guarantee you will find gems in this book that will make you stop and ponder things you believe. I guess the most obvious question, Christopher, is why write a book with such a contentious subject as religion?
Great question. And I've had the question before, and I've had great feedback and response. I wrote The Fervent Exchange to challenge people to think beyond the confines of their religious indoctrination and their cultural superstitions. As human beings, I've noticed that every last one of us hold beliefs, and that's great because belief exists as the foundation of our achievements, our accomplishments, and our success. However, when one's belief is used as a standard by which other people are condemned, and then it's implemented within schools to bastardize science education, it's adopted by governments to influence laws, then that belief deserves to be dismantled and discarded because it possesses no intrinsic value for the betterment of humanity. In fact, religious belief has woven itself so profoundly throughout various cultures that many people are now convinced that religion is the basis of morality when it is not. The true basis of ethics and morality stems from what is known as the law of reciprocity. And truth be told, it supersedes organized religion by thousands of years.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree with you more. Did you find as you were writing The Fervent Exchange, your beliefs and views altered?
No, in fact, writing the Fervent Exchange was actually a result of views that I already cultivated and developed over the past several years.
Right, right. I love the fact that you had the characters in the book discussing all of this on a plane journey. I mean, they're kind of captive audience, really, aren't they? They're going to talk to each other. I too have had some wonderful, deep, and very interesting conversations flying over the pond from the UK to the USA. What was the most interesting conversation on the plane journey for you, if you've had one, of course?
I'd have to say that my most interesting conversation on the plane was actually my most recent flight to visit my daughter in Shanghai, China. I was seated with my wife and my younger son as we exchanged thoughts on the length of the trip and the magnitude of the Pacific Ocean.
Mm.
It wasn't as lively as the conversation held between Anita, Dr. Ruth, and Gina, but it was interesting nonetheless.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? Because there's nothing else you can do. So you've got either going to talk to each other or you're just going to sit there and do nothing.
Yeah, and I tell you, when we were right in the middle of the Pacific, I think we were just finished flying over Japan, and the turbulence hit, and I could hear it in the pilot's voice. Oh, how that was it for me.
So let's turn to remember yourself, a healing journey through your universe. Okay, explain what is the universe?
All right, so just as the universe is our external environment, the universe is our internal environment. It's just really a play on words. It's
Mm,
the psychological and emotional part of us that structures our view of self.
mm,
It can probably best be understood through sincere and honest introspection.
mm. I remember watching the film Doctor Strange when it was first released 2 years ago and being absolutely fascinated by the multiverse concept. Have you seen that film?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely,
When,
absolutely.
to grasp the fact that there is so much more than meets the eye is astounding and rather comforting. Well, it is for me anyway. I think that the more we as humans can suspend our beliefs and be open to new ideas and concepts, the quicker we will evolve. Would you agree?
Yes, absolutely. In fact, if I remember correctly, I believe it was Amisha Patel that said life is all about evolution.
Mm,
What looks like a mistake to others has been a milestone in my life. Even if people have betrayed me, even if my heart was broken, even if people misunderstood or judged me, I have learned from these incidents. We are human and we make mistakes, but learning from them is what makes the difference. And Claire, as I reflect on that quote, I reflect on the fact that some of the best food, the best art, and even the best scientific advancements were developed from ideas and concepts that evolved from mistakes and unintended results. So I absolutely agree.
yeah, yeah. I mean, we all make mistakes, but then it's our perception. Is it a mistake? It may have been a mistake at the time, but later on you've learned something from it, and you become something maybe better from it. So
Oh, so true. So
yeah,
true.
I don't believe there are such things as making mistakes. I mean, I've had some rotten stuff in my life, some good stuff, and I'm thankful for it all. Yeah,
Yes.
it's one huge, great big adventure to me. Anyway, enough about me. Remember Yourself is a comprehensive self-help workbook and journal that can be understood and applied by people from all walks of life. How important is the journal part of your book? Why does that make a difference to the reader? I mean, will it speed up the self-improvement process?
If I had to choose, I'd say that by far the structured journal is the most important part of the book. And the reason for this because it allows the reader to review and assess their daily activities. It also stokes mindfulness in their thoughts and behaviors, which teaches them how to improve themselves on a daily basis.
Mm,
So that's a pretty powerful part of the book.
yes, most definitely. One of your recent views for Remember Yourself on Amazon says, and I quote, this book was written in ink, dipped in the soul of the author. Christopher Felton has a gift of unraveling the tangled ball of yarn that complicates his earth experience. I just love that, ink dipped in the soul of the author. That's brilliant. Christopher, I have always believed that we make things far more complicated than they are. We get so caught up in the perceived dramas of life. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh, I do indeed. For some time now, I've always said that nothing matters more than relationships.
Mm,
And there's this guy, Dr. Bob Moorhead, I think said it best in his monologue called "The Paradox of Time." You may have heard of it. Some people mistakenly attribute that to the Dalai Lama and George Carlin, two men which I absolutely love.
mhm.
But it was Dr. Bob Moorhead that said it. I have it. I don't know if you want me to read it to you.
Sure, go on.
But
Absolutely.
okay, so what he said is, I actually had this one printed. It says, we have taller buildings but shorter tempers,
Mm,
wider freeways but narrower viewpoints. We spend more but have less. We buy more but enjoy it less. We have bigger houses and smaller families. More conveniences, less time. We have more degrees but less sense, more knowledge but less judgment, more experts yet more problems. We have more gadgets but less satisfaction, more medicine yet less wellness. We take more vitamins but see fewer results. We drink too much, we smoke too much, we spend too recklessly, we laugh too little, we drive too fast, we get too angry quickly, we stay up too late, we get up too tired, we read too seldom, watch TV too much, and pray too seldom. We have multiplied our possessions but reduced our values. We fly in faster planes to arrive there quicker, to do less, and return sooner. We sign more contracts only to realize fewer profits. We talk too much, love too seldom, and lie too often. We've learned how to make a living, but not a life. We've added years to life, but not life to years. We've been all the way to the moon and back, but have trouble crossing the street to meet the new neighbor. We've conquered outer space, but not inner space. We've done larger things, but not better things. We've cleaned up the air, but polluted the soul. We split the atom, but not our prejudice. We write more, but learn less. We plan more, but accomplish less. We make faster planes, but longer lines. We learn to rush, but not to wait. We have more weapons, but less peace. Higher incomes, but lower morals. More parties, but less fun. More food, but less appeasement. More acquaintances, but fewer friends. More effort, but less success. We build more computers to hold more information, to produce more copies than ever, but have less communication, drive smaller cars that have bigger problems, build larger factories that produce less. We've become long on quantity, but short on quality. These are the times of fast foods and slow digestion, tall men, but short character, steep in profits, but shallow relationships. These are times of world peace, but domestic warfare, more leisure and less fun, higher postage, but slower mail, more kind of food, but less nutrition.
Christopher, I think we've got the idea. So what would you say, sorry to interrupt you, what would you say is the answer to that?
Well, first and foremost, I totally agree.
So do
secondly, I think that the answer may not be easy, but it's simple, and that is more empathy, more compassion.
Yes.
I think that we have to see ourselves in each other, and I think that when we have viewpoints and just different philosophies of life, then it bears the time that it takes to understand how those viewpoints and those stances became developed.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, do you have a excuse me, do you have a self-help or self-development hero, either a guru or an author that started you off on this road of writing, and who is it?
Um, I've never been one to choose, one or two heroes because I don't know. I think that kind of boxes people in. My heroes have been more of a collage of people who directly and indirectly influenced, motivated, encouraged me to write. But honestly, Claire, I'd be remiss if I didn't also mention the not so positive experiences I've had with those who positioned me to learn the traits of conflict resolution, patience, problem solving, self control, and such in order to grow and develop into who I am today.
What do you say to the person that says, it's too late for me to make a change in my life, I'm too old?
Uh, to that person, I'd say if you can consume food for physical sustenance, then you can consume knowledge for psychological and emotional sustenance. I've come to learn that if a person truly wants to change and they make it a top priority, then there's very little that can stop that process.
I couldn't
And to be
agree.
honest, I think that everything else is pretty much just expression of self-victimization.
Yes, absolutely. Christopher, you were a state trooper and an expert sharpshooter. What is a sharpshooter?
A sharpshooter is simply a marksman.
Oh, okay.
Was attained a certain skill level in firearm shooting. And I was an expert because I was able to shoot targets with a degree of precision and variation that was presented within the objective that we were working at the time. But with that being said, I find that public speaking is a bit more of a daunting task.
I bet. It's a bit of a difference to being a writer and a public speaker, isn't it? Most definitely.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Tell me about your speaking engagements. What topics do you cover?
The engagement themselves have been infrequent, but I enjoy them every single time. They've actually started, ironically, they started out with me teaching people about Christ, whereas now I teach about humanism and the ills of religion.
Right. You
I thought you would catch that.
you bleed your passion and your truth, and one of your articles that was broadcast by a prison administrator found it to be inspirational. When did you find your passion for inspiring others?
I found my passion for inspiring others when I discovered the power of being an empathetic listener. And I think that of all people that I had to choose, my wife probably helped me best with that. There simply is no better inspiration, in my opinion. When we empathetically listen to others, then when we speak to their strengths rather than their weakness, we'll oftentimes see them blossom more beautifully than any other flower. Once I experienced this, I was hooked.
Nice way of putting it. Lastly, where can people purchase your wonderful books?
No, thanks for asking. The Fervent Exchange you can get from Amazon.com. And Remember Yourself you can get from BarnesandNoble.com.
Wonderful. All right, well, thank you, Christopher. That was so interesting. Please come back on Book Talk Radio Club again. I'd love to chat with you and hear more. In the meantime, good luck for the future, and thank you, everyone, for listening to Book Talk Radio Club. Thank you, Christopher.
Thank you very much, Claire.
My pleasure.